Hey, everybody. We're back here with the Paceline podcast, and I'm talking to Dr. Hugh and the VP of Paceline, Mr. James Holmes. As we were just discussing, we wanted to get to know more about you as a researcher and how you came to the Medical College of Georgia Cancer Center. You gave us a very good background there. So you got your PhD from Wuhan University in China, and then you came to Augusta and you did 2 postdocs, right? Yeah. 2 postdocs, and then you did a research scientist role. And then as of 2020, you started your own independent lab as an investigator, focusing on leukemia research. Is that right? Yeah. Right? So just to give people a little insight, this man is well educated. I mean, he is an expert at cancer, disease, and leukemia. All right. A postdoc, essentially, if you want to have an analogy, if you think about it, in medical doctor, they do residencies, right? They do fellowships. Postdocs are something very similar to that. So they can be anywhere between 2 years and 4 years, sometimes maybe 8 years. I did a postdoc. Mine was 2 years, and I focused on cancer prevention and control. Dr. Hugh here did 2. So that's very robust, very, very good. And then he had a research scientist role, which means that he had a actual full-time position at the Georgia Cancer Center, right? Where he worked within someone else's lab to develop his own research. And now, since 2020, and as you were just saying, Dr. Hu, you started your lab in 2020, and we all know what hit the globe. We have and still currently still are. We have vaccines and everything now, but the COVID-19 pandemic hit us, and I can only imagine that to try to start your tenure track position, and again, an assistant professor is essentially a researcher that focuses on their own lab, and they have their own theme, and they try to figure out solutions to a certain type of problem, right? Sometimes you may have an assistant professor or someone who teaches, but you are a researcher primarily, right? So again, starting in the COVID-19 pandemic had to be quite difficult. So again, you were talking about your team. Could you just give us a little insight to how you initiated a team? You have 3 research associates, and then we'll get into some of the barriers and how the work looks, okay? So just tell us a little bit more about your team.
I just as you said, I have long time training, so I think the cancer is smart. In order to fight it better, we need to be smarter. So that's why I get and at that time, when I get my PhD, I know the United States have the best cancer treatment. So that's why I come here to learn the get more idea about the expertise and the new cutting edge technology. So after my second postdoc, as I said, and my second postdoc, I more focused on leukemia. And as a research scientist, I actually am doing some research about what's the cancer signaling inside of the leukemia cell. But when I try to establish my own lab, I'm more interested in the immunology, the first new area about the cancer treatment, because in this case you can use your robust immune system to kill the cancer. So instead of using the chemotherapy or radiation therapy, so which is more safe and more efficient. So that means a lot to me. And as I said, I get great support from the institution and also my mentor, Dr. John Cowell, and he's well established and help me to have a smooth transition. And so we can be able to recruit talented people. And one of my research associate, actually Dr. Asuko, is in my lab, and she has more than 10 year training in the research lab, and I'm so lucky to have all of them in the team, and some other staff, and they're doing amazing job. In spite we are affected by the pandemic, but we are still make steady progress, and also thanks to the support from Paceline, it's very important for me at this beginning of my career and provide the critical support I needed to do some necessary experiment. And
So, and really quick, Dr. Hugh, how many team members do you have? And if we can put up a good picture of him and his team, I think that would be wonderful. So how many members do you have on your team right now?
So now I have 3 former research associates, and I also opened one postdoctoral position, and then active recruiting, but it's not easy.
It's not easy.
And talented people get in talented people at a risk period of time. And also I have some student intern and in the 2 student intern in the lab. And currently I also have some medical students. So she's actively contacting me, trying to, because she's also just attracted to the idea of the leukemia and the immune system interaction, this kind of topic. And also I am going to be able to get maybe 2 visiting scholars back from China. And some of my college and they just recommend the best student to here, so I can expand the team and do more work in the lab. So
and just to again emphasize the pertinence of the work that you're doing, right? So Dr. Hugh does a lot of work in the tumor microenvironment and in using immunology, right? So using your own immune system to help fight the disease in which so cancer, just so that you all know, is not a monolith. There's just not one type of disease, but at its core, it is cells that are uncontrollably mutating and growing, right? Without that cellular mechanism to slow it down or stop it, right? So what you're doing is you're looking at is that the a very, very granular level, right, within someone's. How do we mitigate or how do we stop the disease from continuing to grow, right? So that's really, really, really cool work. Altogether, we have so many different types of research. Again, I do population health, which means that I focus on large groups of people. You're looking at the microenvironment, which is all at the cellular level, right? So there's so much space in between that. However, I want to really get into some of the logistics behind the work that you do, how Paceline is involved, right? So we're going to go ahead and go to one of our next questions, right? And that one is, how does the funds from Paceline, how does that actually help you, and what happens with the research after this stage, right? So again, you received the prestigious award through Paceline, $50,000 to continue doing your work. But what happens with the research after this stage, right? So you're in your lab. What happens with the research?
So during my research in the past 2 or 3 years, I was lucky to identify some critical gene, oncogene in the cancer. They can control certain signaling. So the cancer cell, actually, one of the molecular I identified is IRK1. So they are control the inflammatory signaling. For the cancer is release some signal to outside of the tumor. So they just recruit some bad guy. So that the immune suppressor cell, the MDSC, a myeloid-derived suppressor cell, they help the cancer to shut down the immune system. So the cancer is smart, right? So, and for my research, I found if I knock out this gene, specific gene, oncogene inside of the cancer, if I take it out of the signaling out of the cancer cell, the leukemia cell, the immune system, they go back to work. The T cell, they try to attack the cancer and they kill all the cancer cells. So that's the preliminary work finding in my lab. So it's some kind of low and inspiring, and I really feel excited. So I write the grant application. So I wanted to do more, right? I wanted to see this is dramatic change, and something really promising can lead some discovery. And with the Paceline, I can be able to use the fund for some cutting-edge technology, like the single-cell sequencing. If I wanted to study the tumor microenvironment, because the tumor microenvironment, they have so many types of different cells. beside the cancer cell, there are different type of immune cell. So if I wanted to understand this microenvironment, I needed to turn single cell sequencing technology. And one sample analysis is cost about 3,000. And usually for one experiment, I needed to sequencing maybe 10 sample.
Okay.
So the Paceline funding, that's what I used to study for this special purpose experiment technique. Yeah.
So just real quick, I like to bring it back because this is high level stuff, and I want to try to see if I can get a good analogy here to try to dumb it down a little bit. Okay. Yeah. For myself and for our lay folks here. Okay. So the work that Dr. Hugh is doing. Essentially, if we can think about the cancer cell as a person with a cell phone, let's think about they have a cell phone, right? In your cell phone, you have what they call a SIM card, which allows your phone to have network reception and speak so that you can call out and speak to other people and have other people come to you and do X, Y, Z, right?
Yeah.
What you are doing is very novel and cool because what you have done is remove that SIM card to where now the cancer cell does not have networking signatures or is not able to communicate with other cells, right? So now is on its own, and you have the T cells, right, which are antibodies and things within your own immune system that are now more effective to go in and actually kill or take out that's not kill the person with the cell phone. I'm just saying, take the phone away. From the person.
So we can say the bad guy, good guy, right? So the immune system, just like the police, right? They are doing daily work is to find the cancer cell to make sure they are being eliminated or something, right? Keep them in control. But now for my discovery is the cancer cell, they can send out the signaling to recruit some bad guy, like we myeloid immune suppressive cell. They can help the tumor cell to shut down or destroy the immune system. So that's why the tumor get uncontrolled. So that's
you minimize its ability to evade the treatment. Basically, you kind of open up where it can be. When you think about CAR T therapy and some of the advancements that have certainly happened with blood cancers and leukemia in particular, is there an area of cancer or cancer research that you believe maybe the public needs to understand a little bit more about? Because the application of what you're doing, it sounds as though that actually could have implications for other cancers on how you take away the SIM card, to use Dr. Moore's analogy. So tell me sort of how would you break that down even further for just regular listeners that are out there that are just now, maybe they've got family with cancer, and what does this mean? How does that translate to other things?
So I maybe in this way, I maybe put a little bit of emphasis on the immunotherapy for the cancer. So actually, before the 1980s, the 1890s, the only treatment for the cancer is surgical treatment. They just remove the tumor, right? And then after the 1900, the radiation therapy first time become possible. And then in the 1940s and 40 years later, and we have the chemotherapy. And so in that case, you can have more option. And in the 1980s, we have the target therapy for the first time, because all the previous three treatment, they are non-specific. They are wipe out all the dividing cell inside of your body, and they get so many damage into yourself, make you weak, and the chemotherapy, so many side effects. But after the 1980s, for the first time, we have the target therapy. We can use the tyrosine kinase inhibitor and also the monoclonal antibody. We can target the specific signaling pathway, oncogene, inside of the cancer cell. But in the 2010, just about one decade ago, we have a really breakthrough is the immunotherapy. So it's just use some technique to active or stimulate your immune system to restore your ability of your immune system to kill the tumor. So this technology can greatly improve the patient survival and improve your quality of life. And we need to put more effort in this area to benefit benefit every person in the community. Yeah.
So Dr. Hu, you just gave a great narrative of how we've transitioned in medicine just overall in general over the past 120 years, right? We go from having something that's more standardized, right? So it's just like a all size, one size fit all type of treatment in terms of medicine and therapeutics, to over the past 40 years getting more specific and going into what we know in science and medicine as personalized medicine, right?
Yeah.
So instead of just treating you for like giving you chemotherapy and just in targeting a certain area, and then what we know in research in medicine, sometimes the treatments can actually be really, really harsh, right? And lead to other events after your cancer treatment, right? As a researcher, one thing that I know to be true is that we have evidence to show that if you have a history of cancer, you have an increased risk of developing sepsis or in some type of infection, right? 2.5-fold increased risk, right? So what you're talking about with immune therapy, having this more personalized medicine, being able to target, actually having genetics being involved, right? Yeah. So if you do Ancestry.com, knowing your risk factors and having a risk profile, you can even be more specific in what you're doing and what medicine is going to look like. So we're talking to a man of the future right now. When it comes to medicine, when we think about disparities, we have had cancer. When you heard it, it used to be that it was a death sentence. We are now in a day and age where the work that we're doing with Paceline, and if we're able to continue to get the support, right, that cure is right around the corner. It's right around the corner. I mean, from what you're saying with the immune therapy, it's right around the corner. So again, if you all are tuned in, I want you to go to that QR code. Please contribute to Paceline, or you can go to pacelinерide.org. We have several teams. I have my own team, which is called Bicyclists Against Disparities. Again, I focus on disparities in cancer, but we have the wonderful Dr. Hu here, who is a fabulous researcher doing leukemia work. But we want to get into some of my final few questions here. Which one are we on? We're on. So we want, and I'm just gonna go ahead and just read this question for you all. So obviously, you must hope for significant cancer findings and cures, and ultimately a world without cancer, which is some of the conversation that we're really close to that, right? In your opinion, how close do you think we are globally to the next major breakthrough? And I feel like we've had some of this conversation, but what gives you confidence in how close we are to potentially this cure or living in a world rather without cancer?
So actually, for the cancer treatment, we are getting better and better. So some of the type of cancer, so the survival of the cancer patient actually is no difference between the normal people. So this is really amazing. And now I feel more and more confident about this kind of cancer research and immunotherapy. And I think maybe in the next 10 or 20 years, we should expect more breakthrough in all types of cancer, even the rare cancer.
10 to 20 years.
Yeah. Because now we have so many revolutionary technology, like the gene editing, CRISPR screen, and the single cell proteomic, and the transcription technology. And also because now we have big data, next generation sequencing, we have so many big data for the different cancer patients that we have no more knowledge. And also the using of the AI, artificial intelligence, make us to be able to predict the different target, more efficient target in different type of cancer. So we have, and as you mentioned, we have the CAR-T technology. Basically, we have, if we identify the special antigen or character of the type of cancer, we can put some guide in the CAR-T cell, just like you put the GPS on a missile, so they can accurately kill the cancer cell. So this should be what we are really looking forward to. And
That's awesome.
That's pretty cool.
Really good stuff. Really, really good stuff. So you, Dr. Hu, you've ridden in Paceline. Obviously, last year you rode with the Go GCC team. And you don't have, for all of those listening to us online, you can get involved in Paceline in a myriad of ways, whether you volunteer or don't ride a bike at all, but want to just get on there and ride a short distance. But tell me a little bit about how you got into cycling. Were you a cyclist before? Did you ride a bike before? And what was it like on Pace Day? I know you rode with the director. I think you spent a good bit of the time with Dr. Cortez, the director at the Cancer Center. Tell me what it's like to go out on the ride itself. What's it like for you?
Yeah, I have a long history with bicycling, I when I was a small boy, and I live in a small town in China, and I enjoy bicycling and swimming. So it's one of my favorites.
He is a vet.
And in my spare time, actually, in order to relax and enjoy, and I really like to bicycling. And when I see the Paceline campaign, I think I want to be part of this campaign, and I can enjoy my hobby. At the same time, I think there is great potential. This can really affect the community and benefit the community. So that's why. For example, I mentioned there promising future for the cancer treatment, right? But the cancer research alone cannot achieve that goal. We need the input from the community.
Yes.
And for example, for the NCI, National Cancer Institution, the cancer research funding rate is about 8% for now. So it means 12 grants from great research scientists like me, only one of them will get funded. So we cannot say the other 11 grant is not good. With the support from Paceline, from the community, we can be able to bring some more idea into the research, into action. So we, in this case, in the fight against the cancer, we can get a better position, right, with the support from Paceline. So that's something I really want to say.
And it's amazing how we can bring those communities together. To date, we've raised almost $700,000. We've funded 10 projects, including Dr. Who's. So far, this year, we're striving to fund 10 more projects to raise over $500,000. And it's through a whole array of people across our community. But one thing is, you've been out and met with us and been at the Pace Day last year. You get an opportunity to speak with various people from throughout the community. Did you have any conversations with people that either at our kickoff ride earlier this year, but people are very curious about what a cancer researcher does. Tell me a little bit about some of the conversations you've had.
Yeah, I talked to different people, and I feel really excited, and you can see so many people come out from the community, come out to support the research at the Georgia Cancer Center. I really feel excited, and I really appreciate and grateful. And I talk to different people, of course, about my research and what I do in the lab, and so I can communicate with them, and they can get more idea about the research happening in the cancer center, right? And I really impressive one of the senior gentlemen when he really hard, but he made it at the finish line, and his family is taking a video for him, and I just standing by, and I know he lost his wife due to cancer maybe a few years ago, and that's why the reason he comes out for the Paceline and to advocate for the Paceline fundraising to cure cancer, to benefit other people. So I really feel some kind of moved at the moment, and I in that case I think I feel I would perform better research. I needed to act quick or move fast, you know, to change to something to end this terrible disease, and to get people better care and better treatment, so they can enjoy their life and enjoy their time with their family. So that's what I think when I come out to see so many supporters from the community, and I really wanted to take this chance to appreciate their effort and support. Thank you all for the support.
Yeah, Dr. Hugh, I love what you said there about how the interactions that you had with the community essentially kindle even more of a fire and burning within you. Like as a PhD level scientist, you already have to have a certain type of self-determination to do what you do, because it's not easy. right? You have a lot of failures. What people don't understand is that when you're in the lab or when you're trying to come up with something that's novel and you're trying to do the research, there's a lot of things that are wrong before you find something that's right and you get that aha moment, right? But to see people's face and interact with people and hear their stories, it's only driving you to do even more, right? You want to work even harder, right, to contribute. Right. So again, for all of those that are out there that are listening to us, if you can get a family member, if you can get a loved one or anyone in your community to go ahead and get involved in Paceline, please do. As you're hearing it right here from Dr. Hugh here on this podcast, that it motivates us to do even better science. So please go to pacelineride.org. We need volunteers. We need contributions. Join a team. Make your own team. I actually had the opportunity to be involved in Paceline for the first time last year as well. I did not even have a bike. I borrowed one. I practiced a few times, and I got out there and I pushed to 25 miles. This year, I'm going to do 50. So awesome. and I'm trying to bring 9 other people with me to join my team. Our team is called Bicyclists Against Disparities. Which team are you riding with this year, Dr. Hugh?
I go with the Go GCC. So Go Cancer Center.
Go GCC, led by Dr. Jorge Cortez, the director of the Georgia Cancer Center. So even our director of the Georgia Cancer Center is getting involved with this. And I think you all are doing 75 miles, 70 miles?
50 miles.
50 miles? Okay.
I was trying
to push you to do more.
maybe I try it.
So really quick, Vice President James, could you please give us a little scoop before we close out on Paceline and the activities we're going to have this year with our big ride event, the different routes that we have, other ways that people can get involved. Could you please share just a little bit?
Absolutely. This October will be our 3rd ride, and there are a lot of ways to get involved, as you mentioned. From the ride itself, we've got as little as a 1-mile route that's here in downtown Augusta. Our other routes will be starting across the river in South Carolina, and we've got an opening ceremony that'll happen the night before the ride at SRP Park with a big concert, and then those longer routes, the 25, 50, and 70, will all ride out from there, have a chance to ride by the Cancer Center and see where all this awesome work is taking place on Laney Walker Boulevard here in Augusta. And then they'll finish downtown after riding out into the country on some beautiful roads that we have over in South Carolina. And so we're just excited to have people ride. But if you don't want to ride, you can be what we call as unchained. And so that's somebody that may want to support and join a team, but they can't actually ride a bike. They're not in town, or they're just not going to be able to do the ride. And then last is volunteers. You've mentioned it as well. We really need over 300 volunteers, but it's coming up in October. You can get a lot more information about the ride itself and support. Very safe. It is friendly, and it's intended to be for non-cyclists. Like it's really a $1 million event, a world-class $1 million event, and we put safety at the very top so people can come out. Visit pacelinерide.org or paceline.org and just check us all out. And of course, if you want to donate to the bad team or the team Go GC, please feel free to do that. But I'm thankful to be here and really appreciate this conversation.
And just to interject a little bit more, because we wanted to be even more open and inclusive this year, right? So one thing that we have is that 1 mile bike ride. It is targeted and geared towards families and youth.
That's
right.
right.
So how old are you to be involved with that?
Absolutely. So 10 years old can ride on that smaller loop. Good point. It really is intended for both families and those that aren't comfortable, but they know they can ride a little bit. And so, 10 years and older to do that. And it's 14 years or older to do the longer rides. And then we do have youth rates out there for folks that are younger, under 25. So if you're a student at AU or perhaps just a young professional that wants to get involved.
Do I look young enough to count for the under 25? No. I don't need to do that. But hey, if you're under 25, please consider it. We have reduced rates so that you can be involved. We can have a high school team at this rate, right?
Absolutely.
If you're 16 and older, okay.
Yep, so you can come out and ride, and everybody fundraises. That's a requirement, but your registration gets you access to that opening ceremony concert and a guest to come with you and awesome swag. So that's a real nice feature. But the main thing is every dollar raised by our participants. Last year we had 329 participants and raised $330,000. Every penny goes to innovative cancer research like what Dr. Who's talked about today. And so we just want to connect the community, all aspects of the community, everybody come together around this mission to cure cancer faster because we know it can be done. We know it affects everybody, and we can do a better job. And we can do it right here at our Georgia Cancer Center. So yeah.
Thank you. So we're nearing the end here. I want to know if I can put a plug for our next podcast, but we've had a great time here today with Dr. Hugh, assistant professor at the Georgia Cancer Center, and Vice President James Holmes of Paceline. And we hope to continue this conversation. Mm-hmm. We want to continue this conversation with our community. Just some information for you folks out there regarding cancer disparities. We're in Augusta, which is in Richmond County. And unfortunately, we still have tremendous disparities in a multitude of solid tumors. And one specifically is colorectal cancer. Colorectal cancer is taking the lives of thousands of people per year. And specifically here in Richmond County, we're in the top 5% for early onset colorectal cancer mortality. Now, some of the things that people don't understand is that colorectal cancer, we have a lot of really great screening modalities to help diagnose, treat, so that we can catch that earlier and hopefully have a longer, healthier life, right? So we're gonna have a conversation with a very good epidemiologist, hopefully next time as we continue this conversation. And his work is about food swamps and deserts and diet, which are related to colorectal cancer. All right, so please tune in. We are so grateful to have your attention for this, last 30, 40 minutes on this conversation with Dr. Hugh. Thank you again for tuning in. I am your moderator, host, your own personal epidemiologist, Dr. Justin Xavier Moore. So please, again, tune in. And if you can, go to pacelineright.org. And go ahead and click that button and donate. And go ahead and pull out those credit cards and help us out so that we can continue to do great cancer research. And that's all we have for you today. Any final words before we close out? No?
Thank you.
No, thank you everyone for listening and that is great support. Yeah.
Thank you. All right. You all have a great day.